Knock at the Cabin tops Friday box office with $5.4 million opening weekend. Meanwhile, Avatar: The Way of Water brought its domestic total up to $635 million. The day has finally come. Avatar: The Way of Water is on the verge of surrendering the crown that it has held onto for 7 weekends in a row. Director James Cameron's epic science fiction sequel will likely slip to the 3rd spot on the weekend box office chart for the first time since its release in December, as Universal's Knock at the Cabin eyes a $14.5 million debut. Director M. Night Shyamalan's latest thriller picked up $5.4 million on Friday, including Thursday previews, as it debuted in over 3,600 theaters nationwide. This is under the $6.8 million that the filmmaker's last release, Old, made on its opening day in 2021. Old grossed $16.8 million in its debut weekend, on its way to a $48 million domestic and $89 million global finish. Knock at the Cabin was produced on pretty much the same budget, $20 million as compared to Old's $18 million, so this looks like a modest enough debut, although it's at least $5 million shy of projections earlier this week. Shyamalan has been having a rather successful second innings as director, after experiencing critical and commercial rejection around a decade ago. His last 4 films have all been commercially successful, even if they haven't managed to garner the sort of acclaim that some of his early hits did. The Twilight Zone-adjacent Knock at the Cabin earned a concerning C Cinema score from opening day audiences, which might affect its performance in the long run. Regardless, this is Shyamalan's 7th #1 finish. Elated, Knock at the Cabin review. M. Night Shyamalan reminds us why we liked him in the first place. The film narrowly edged out Paramount's 84 Brady, which is drawing older audiences much like Sony's A Man Called Otto did over the last month. The film made $4.7 million on Friday, including Thursday previews, and is expected to gross $13 million in its first weekend. Starring Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, Sally Field and Rita Moreno. 80 for Brady was pulled from a direct-to-streaming release, and managed to successfully attract its target demographic to the theaters. The breakdown shows that nearly half the film's audience was over 55, and nearly 70% were women. The Way of Water slipped to number 3 with a $2.4 million. 8th Friday. The film is looking at a $10.2 million weekend, which will take its running domestic total to $635 million. Globally, the film is on the verge of overtaking Titanic's lifetime haul to claim the 3rd spot on the all-time list. Phenomenally, 3 of the top 4 highest-grossing movies of all time have been directed by Cameron. The 4th and 5th spots went to Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and Fathom's specialty release of The Chosen Season 3. Puss in Boots 2 picked up $1.69 million in its 7th weekend, for a projected weekend finish of $7.9 million. This will take its running domestic haul over $151 million, which is an excellent result for the animated sequel. The Chosen is looking at a $6.6 million debut weekend. Overall business this weekend is projected to be in the $80 million range, which is a healthy 37% improvement over the same weekend last year. The next major movie lined up for release is Marvel's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which is expected to deliver a $120 million debut according to very early projections. You can watch our interview with Shyamalan here. And stay tuned to Collider for more updates.